Hello everyone and welcome back to Virtue Voice. Today we're going to be diving into the stories about the top 10 most notorious serial killers. And starting this list off at number 10 we have Gary Ridgway. Known as the Green River Killer, Ridgway terrorized the Pacific Northwest during the 1980s and 90s. His region of terror left a community in fear and authorities scrambling to solve the case. Gary Ridgway was finally apprehended in 2001, but the shocking details of his crimes were beginning to surface. He confessed to murders of 49 women, making him the deadliest serial killer in American history. Ridgway targeted vulnerable women, often prostitutes and runaways, dumping their bodies in remote locations along the Green River. During interrogation, Ridgway showed a disturbing lack of remorse, providing chilling detail about his crimes. His ability to lead a seemingly normal life while committing these heinous acts shocked the nation and led to a renewed effort in criminal profiling and forensic investigation. Coming in at the number 9 spot, we have Richard Ramirez. Richard Ramirez, also known as the Night Stalker, terrorized Southern California during the mid-1980s, leaving a trail of fear and violence. Born in El Paso, Texas, Ramirez's descent into darkness began early in life. His troubled childhood, coupled with exposure to violent, imaginary, and fascination with Satanism, set the stage for the horrors that would unfold. Ramirez's crime spree began in 1984 and continued until his capture in 1985. His attacks were often brutal, involving SA, burglary, and murder. Ramirez targeted a wide range of victims, making it difficult for law enforcement to predict his next move. His methods often included breaking into homes in the dead of night, hence the earning him the nickname the Night Stalker. The Night Stalker's reign of terror instilled fear across Southern California. Residents were on edge, locking doors and windows, and communities were gripped by a sense of vulnerability. The media frenzy surrounded Ramirez only fueled the panic as he reveled in the attention and infamy. Ramirez's crimes finally caught up with him when he was captured by an angry mob in East Los Angeles in 1985. The evidence against him was overwhelming, including fingerprints and eyewitness accounts. During his trial, Ramirez displayed a lack of remorse, drawing pentagrams on his hands, shouting "Hail Satan" in the courtroom. He was sentenced to death, but he passed away in prison in 2013 before his execution could be carried out. At the number 8 spot, we have Albert Fish. Albert Fish, also known as the real-life boogeyman, was born on May 19, 1870, and lived a seemingly ordinary life on the surface. However, beneath the facade of normalcy lurked a dark and twisted mind. Fish's criminal record included various offenses such as theft, but it was sadistic and heinous acts that would eventually cement his place in infamy. Fish's early life was marked by tragedy and instability. Orphaned at a young age, he bounced between orphanages and abusive foster homes, an experience that undoubtedly played a role in shaping his disturbed psyche. As he grew older, his deviant behaviors escalated, foreshadowing the horrors to come. Fish's crimes took a horrifying turn in the 1920s and 30s when he targeted young children. His preferred method of luring victims was responding to classified ads for employment, often preying on the desperate families during the Great Depression. Once he gained the trust of these families, his true intention was revealed. Fish's reign of terror eventually came to an end in 1934 when he was arrested for the abduction and murder of 10-year-old Grace Budd. The trial that followed was a spectacle, with Fish's bizarre behavior and confessions shocking the courtroom. His defense attempted to argue insanity, but the juror ultimately found him guilty. Albert Fish's case remains one of the most grotesque in criminal history. His crimes continue to haunt the public imagination, serving as a stark reminder of the darkness that can reside in the human mind. Coming in at number 7, we have Ed Gein. Ed Gein, born in 1906, was a quiet and unassuming man who lived in a secluded farm in Wisconsin. Behind the mask of normalcy lurked a disturbing mind that would inspire some of the most iconic horror characters in cinema history. Gein's upbringing played a crucial role in shaping his twisted psyche. Raised by an arrogant mother who instilled a warped sense of morality, Ed's life took a dark turn when she passed away in 1945. His obsession with her continued, driving him to commit unspeakable acts. In 1957, the authorities uncovered the horrors within Ed Gein's farmhouse. What they found was beyond comprehension. Human remains crafted into gruesome household items, including furniture made from bones and clothing fashioned from skin. Gein's case fascinated psychologists, sparking debates about the nature of his mental illness. Was he a product of a traumatic upbringing, or was there something inherently evil within him? The legacy of Ed Gein continues to haunt the realms of criminal psychology to this day. Ed Gein's gruesome story left a lasting mark on pop culture. From Norman Bates in Psycho to Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, his influence permeates horror films, reminding us that sometimes reality is more terrifying than fiction. And at the number 6 spot, we have one of the most mysterious killers, Jack the Ripper. Known for brutally murdering and mutilating prostitutes in the impoverished Whitechapel district, Jack the Ripper's identity remains one of the greatest mysteries in criminal history. Countless theories surround the Ripper's identity, from local butchers to members of the aristocracy. Despite investigations and suspects, the true face of Jack the Ripper remains hidden in the shadows of history. The Ripper's region of terror not only gripped Victoria London, but left an indelible mark on pop culture. Books, movies, and even walking tours still explore the haunting legacy of these unsolved crimes. With gruesome crime scenes marked by surgical precision, Jack the Ripper's chilling acts have sparked debates and captivated the imaginations of many for over a century. Coming in at the number 5 spot, we have Andrei Chikatilo. Born in Ukraine in 1936, Andrei Chikatilo lived a seemingly ordinary life until he unleashed a region of terror that would haunt the Soviet Union. His gruesome crimes spanned over a decade, targeting mostly young people. Chikatilo earned the horrifying name the Butcher of Rostov for his savage acts. Chikatilo's method of killing was as disturbing as it was methodical. He preyed on vulnerable individuals, often luring them with promises of jobs or simply exploiting their trust. His heinous acts included not only murder, but unspeakable acts of mutilation. The extent of his sadistic nature shook the communities he terrorized. The investigation into Chikatilo's crimes proved to be a challenging puzzle for law enforcement. His ability to blend into society and manipulate situations made him a slippery target. It wasn't until 1990 that authorities finally apprehended him. Chikatilo's trial in 1992 exposed the gruesome details of his crimes, leading to his eventual conviction. Andrei Chikatilo's legacy is one of horror and a stark reminder of the depths of human depravity. Coming in at number 4, we have Eileen Wuornos. Eileen Wuornos was born on February 29, 1956 in Rochester, Michigan. Her early life was marked by hardship as she faced a turbulent childhood, experiencing abuse, abandonment, and homelessness. Wuornos gained infamy in the late 1980s when she embarked on a killing spree, murdering 7 men between 1989 and 1990. Operating as a prostitute along Florida's highways, Wuornos claimed her actions were in self-defense, stating that she had been sexually assaulted by her victims. However, as the evidence unfolded, a more complex and disturbing narrative emerged. Wuornos was eventually apprehended in 1991, leading to a high-profile trial that captured the nation's attention. Her defense argued a history of abuse and mental illness, but the prosecution printed a picture of a calculated killer. In 2002, Eileen Wuornos was executed by lethal injection, leaving behind a legacy that continues to fascinate and horrify people to this day. And starting off our top 3, we have John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy, often known as the Killer Clown, was an American serial killer and sex offender who terrorized Chicago in the 1970s. But before his heinous crimes were exposed, he presented himself as a successful businessman and a community volunteer. Gacy had a sinister double life where he lured and murdered at least 33 young men. His method of choice was often strangulation, and many of his victims were buried in the crawl space beneath his own house. The shocking revelation came in 1978 when Gacy was arrested and the true extent of his crimes was uncovered. It's important to note that Gacy's heinous acts had a profound impact on the perception of clowns and contribute to the creepy clown stereotype that persists to this day. In 1980, John Wayne Gacy was convicted of multiple counts of murder and sentenced to death. He spent years on death row before his execution in 1994. Gacy's case remains a dark chapter in criminal history, serving as a reminder of the monsters that can hide in plain sight. And coming in at the number 2 spot, we have Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer's story begins in a seemingly ordinary family in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Raised by Lionel and Joyce Dahmer, his early years showed signs of a troubled psyche. Despite a seemingly normal upbringing, Dahmer's fascination with dissecting animals and his growing isolation hinted at a dark path ahead. Dahmer's disturbing journey escalated as he turned to more gruesome acts, leading to his first murder in 1978. This was followed by 17 more throughout his lifetime. Over the years, he continued his heinous crimes, luring young men into his apartment where unspeakable horrors unfolded. The sheer brutality and cruelty of Dahmer's actions left a long-lasting scar on the history of true crime. For those eager to explore the details of Jeffrey Dahmer's life, there is a documentary titled Dahmer, The Monster Inside. This chilling documentary takes an in-depth look at Dahmer's crimes, providing a raw, unfiltered perspective on the mind of a serial killer. It's a haunting portrayal that has become quite popular to a large audience all over the world. Many experts and psychologists have tried to unravel the mystery of why Dahmer became the monster he did. For his troubled childhood to a growing obsession with gruesome and horrific behaviors, it is a complex web of factors that contribute to the making of a serial killer. Understanding the psychological aspects behind these crimes is both fascinating and deeply disturbing. Coming in at the number 1 spot, we have Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy, a charming and intelligent law student who shocked the nation in the 1970s with his gruesome killing spree. Bundy was known for using his good looks and charisma to lure in his unsuspecting victims. Survivors recount Bundy's ability to switch from friendly to ferocious in an instant. He would often approach his victims in public places, impersonating an authority figure before overpowering his victims and assaulting them. Many of Bundy's victims were found with bite marks all over their bodies. Bundy's crimes spanned across several states, leaving a trail of fear and confusion. Law enforcement faced a relentless challenge as Bundy constantly evaded capture, exploiting loopholes in the system. Over a span of 4 years, Bundy admitted to kidnapping and assaulting over 30 women in a total of 7 different states, but many believe that his body count is much higher, even reaching up to 100 or more. Finally, in 1978, justice caught up with Bundy. The courtroom became a battleground, showcasing Bundy's twisted charm as he defended himself with a shocking lack of remorse. Executed in the electric chair at Florida State Prison on January 24, 1989, Bundy's death marked the end of a gruesome saga that had terrorized communities and shattered the lives of many. The execution served as a somber reminder of the gravity of his crimes in pursuit of justice, offering closure to the victim's family while leaving behind a dark legacy that continues to be studied and analyzed by criminal psychologists to this day.